and you guys will see it pop up, and we're going to be recording here in a moment. And you should be able to see my screen here in a moment. All right. Can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Well, let us go ahead and get things kicked off here. So welcome everybody to the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing virtual meetup. My name is Chris Price. I'm your host of this meetup, and I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Red Fox Multifamily. And just first, before we get into the details of this evening, let me just provide a brief introduction into who we are and what we do. So the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing virtual meetup is open to all who are interested in growing generational wealth through passive real estate investing and increasing their financial intelligence. This meetup is for the busy professionals and retirees across various industries. The individuals in this group make a good living and they have discretionary income to invest in real estate for its proven wealth building power, but they don't necessarily have the time, the skill sets, or the network to do it at speed and at scale. And so this meetup focuses on helping us all grow our wealth mindset by learning how to build and preserve wealth while developing and maintaining an abundance mindset. The meetup will focus on multifamily real estate investing, as well as other proven ways to build wealth through real estate through passive investments. And so that's the wealth mindset side of things. But then let's learn a little bit about the Red Fox Multifamily side of things. So Red Fox Multifamily works with investors who are dissatisfied with the low returns from savings accounts and bonds, and investors who are concerned about the volatility of the stock market. Red Fox Multifamily puts discerning investors' capital to work for them by investing in exceptional multifamily properties in the best markets nationwide. We're going to learn about some best markets nationwide today. Demand for multifamily rental units continues to grow and is driven by both the preference of certain demographics as well as unaffordable single-family home ownership options. Red Fox Multifamily we're based here in White Plains. We partner with investors from whom the stability of real estate investment appeals, but the stress of property ownership does not. We give our investors the benefits of real estate investment through syndication, which, as you guys may or may not know, for some who are maybe new, is a group investment in multifamily property. So just a few brief logistics here and a disclaimer. So if you're not speaking, please mute your line. You're free to hold your questions to the end, but if you have something burning that you want to ask our speakers, please do go ahead and take yourself off of mute and ask your question. Or if you don't care to ask it live, you can also type it in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat and can ask the question on your behalf. This presentation is being recorded, and please note that this material does not constitute an offer or a solicitation to purchase securities. This is information only and should not be construed as business, financial, or legal advice. So, for those of you who want to connect, with me, please connect. You can scan the QR code here on the screen, or you can shoot me an email at chris@redfoxmultifamily.com. But now let me actually transition a little bit into tonight's agenda. So I'm going to go through our speaker introduction. Then I'm going to hand it over to our speakers this evening, and I'm going to help us get through a little Q&A session with them, and then if time permits, we'll have a little time for some virtual networking afterwards. And we'll close out the recording to be able to do that. So without further, let me go ahead and introduce you to our guest speakers tonight, Lance Doty and Madam Mitchell. They are the apartment building guys, and they are real estate investors and partners, and they form the apartment buying guys, specializing in syndicating multifamily real estate investments in Texas and Oklahoma. They are based in Dallas and focus on buying value-add Class B and C properties to generate passive income and significant return for their investors. They are passionate about bringing investors with them, and that is why they syndicate many of their multifamily properties. Investors now have a way to get into multifamily real estate investing without having to set up everything because they've already done it for you. They improve the properties they buy and in turn improving the communities that they work in and live in. They want the tenants that live in their properties to be proud of where they live, while at the same time provide very good returns for their investors. Adam has been a real estate investor since 2004, starting with his investing career with single family rentals and then into multifamily. Both Adam and Lance have sponsored over 215 multifamily units across Texas and Oklahoma and have invested in 358 plus units as well. Lance started in multifamily journey in 2019 as the co-founder of the Apartment Buying Guys with Adam. And in addition to launching the Apartment Buying Guys, Adam and Lance run a successful single-family investing company called Home Buying Guys with about 60 to 70 single-family transactions a year. You guys are busy. Adam lives in DFW and is married to his beautiful wife, Denise, and have two daughters. And Lance is married to his best friend, Rachel, for 17 years and has two kids and two dogs. So you guys are busy. And I have to say, I also have the great pleasure of knowing these two young men. We are a part of a mastermind group together. And we've known each other for some time now, and we have a chance to partner on some opportunities. And these are just when you meet good people, you keep good people in your life. And I really appreciate them taking the time out this evening to share their knowledge and their expertise with all of us this evening. And like I said, I think you guys are going to really enjoy the talk tonight. And please feel free to ask questions and engage. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Lance and Adam to take us through their presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Chris, just the short time we've got to know you, we met you last year at Dealmaker Live and it really, carried that relationship. You leave those events, it's just a whirlwind, right? You meet so many folks and then I see your name everywhere. You're active, but we haven't had business. We've just kind of known, hey, that's a good dude. I remember talking to him last summer. And then, we're currently in the midst of a big raise and let's reach out to Chris, something Adam brought up. I'm like, absolutely. And like 3 or 4 people after we reached out to you were like, have you talked to Chris? And so it's been a pleasure getting to meet you last summer, but also like, grind out this raise. And in the midst of a transaction, you really get to see what people have going for them. It's been great to now be a part of your network on the investor side. I'm seeing how dialed in your active campaign is. And man, just to see your growth from when we talked last summer has been great. And so we won't, in terms of our presentation, I've written down 2 things, and Adam and I are so good at this. We've been doing sales meetings together for like the past 15 years. It feels like it's probably closer to 10 or 12, but we didn't even prepare for this. But if I mention 2 things, Adam's will be ready to go. And the 2 things I think if we could offer anybody an expertise in, obviously we're experts in single family real estate in the markets that we service. We're always learning, we're always adapting. That's a big thing. But the 2 things I think we've proven to really benefit the most people with, if they had to ask us about any topic, would be partnership and passion. And Adam and I, we take for granted our partnership. From day one, we became best friends through our previous W-2 jobs. Our friendship really started as kind of a mentorship. Adam to me, in the ways that his portfolio was set up, the things he was doing to create passive income since his early 20s, and then me to him. When I met Adam, he was still single, looking for that wife that he could build a life with and become and have kids. And at that time, I had those things, and I had something he wanted, which was a happy marriage, two beautiful kids, and we're grinding out the daily, right, like everyone does. And he had what I wanted, which was one, money left over at the end of the month, right, and he had a vision of escaping this rat race of, despite being high successful, high performing sales guys. We knew we were both always, a comp plan change away from working for somebody else in a situation that wasn't quite as lucrative. And so the two things I'd like to talk about today are partnership and passion. But first off, let me just kind of start with our quick 2-minute story. 2016, Adam and I have been friends for 5-6 years. He's got been married 4 or 5 years. He's got a newborn at the house. And he sat me down on one of our lunches. Back then, I used to not eat out unless it was on Adam's, on his expense account. And he's like, hey, man, he's like, I got all this real estate. I know you like learning. He goes, but I want to do my first flip. I'm like, okay. He's like, you want to help? And I'm like, well, of course I want to help, but I don't have any money. And he's like, dude, I'm your best friend. You don't think I know you don't have any money? And I was like, okay, just making sure we're on the same page. He's like, no, we got the baby at home. This is, we're going to be doing this a lot different. It's going to be a lot of pressure. I need support. I know you want to learn. And long story short, we ended up taking a 6-week project with a $60,000 budget. And I think we turned that into a 6-month project and have spent about $120,000 of Adam's money. And, but we had a beautiful flip that Adam might've made $1 on it. I don't know. But we got through it. Adam's shaking his head. No, we got through it. We learned we could work together. And in that moment, we learned our wives could work together and support us. We learned a lot about each other in that first flip, but we also saw an opportunity in the marketplace, and that was wholesaling single family real estate. And Adam, that didn't escape Adam. He's like, hey man, that wholesaler made more than we did on this thing. I think I can generate leads. I can learn SEO. Let me get back to you, but I may have you running some sales appointments. You mind driving to South Dallas at 6 p.m. when you get off work? And I'm like, well, what's the commission look like? And he's like, it's good. And I'm like, all right, just tell me who to talk to and what to say. And that's how Home Buying Guys was born. Since then, since 2016, we've done about 250, closing on 300 transactions. We're seller focused. We do business the right way. We sleep really good at night. It's because we take care of people. We're very transparent. We really become partners with our sellers. As that business has started to grow, is right when COVID hit. And I'll turn it over to Adam to kind of talk about how he handled Home Buying Guys during that transition, how he poised us to scale up to multifamily in that time. Adam, why don't you kind of go into a little bit about that time in our careers?
Yeah, and so, you're right. We that was the perfect timing to make the transition and really just stand up a new business, and that was multifamily investing for us. So that had always been in my head. I always had a want and a desire to get into multifamily. I didn't know how to do it for the longest time. I pulled out some notes, recently back from like 2005 that I was, reading books and learning about multifamily. I just didn't know how to put all the pieces together. And so, during COVID, we were getting closer. We were learning more, meeting some of the right people. And that passion started to blossom. I was able to find some time to sort of sit back and actually, think through how we put that puzzle together and get it going. And that's exactly what we did. So we, I told Lance, let's start putting some webinars together where we do sample deals, and I'll put together a fake deal for people, and let's just see what kind of reception we get. And so during COVID, that's what we were doing a couple nights a week. In the evenings when my kids are screaming and crying in the background, kind of like tonight. And, we were doing sample deal packages for a property that didn't even exist. And so, but we knew that if we could get really good at that, and we could understand the feedback and the needs of those investors, and then we could go find properties related to what they wanted, that we could probably make that work. And so, that's how we started multifamily. And then shortly after that, we started contacting some brokers, started walking some properties, started writing some offers, got our first deal, and now we're on deal number 3. And, the rest is history. We're just going to continue to scale that business and grow it. And you guys talk a little bit about passion, and I'm going to go into mine real quick, briefly, and then we can obviously dive deeper into it. But, throughout all this, I once thought that my passion was real estate. And, that's sort of why I've always looked for ways to make it full time and make it something that I do day in and day out, and wasn't always a side gig. And it wasn't that long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, after some meditation and some time to finally just reflect on what I'm doing and just pull back from all the grind and day to day, that I realized it's not just real estate. I'm just passionate about building companies, passionate about building people, obviously building real estate and transforming real estate, which fits into that category, but just building in general. And once I understood that, it gave me a little different perspective on, how I can use that to not only fulfill my own dreams and goals and desires, but take a lot of people with me, and also help them along the way, and help them get to where they want to go. And so you kind of see that with Lance and I's relationship in the beginning. And, he mentioned that mentorship type relationship that we had, back several years ago. So the key to that story is that you gotta understand what your passion is. And I'm actually currently writing a book talking about how to figure that out, because it took me 35 years to figure it out. And once I had the time to sort of reflect back on things in my life that maybe gave me clues of what that passion was, I'm going, man, if I would have spent more time doing this sooner, I probably would have figured this out a lot sooner. For example, when I was 7 years old, I was taking my brother's brand new bike apart, putting it back together. And, when I'm 15 years old, I'm painting mom's house and putting trim up and doing drywall work after a party that we basically destroyed the living room. And so, all those little things were clues as to what my passion was, but I couldn't put all the pieces together. And so, this book is going to be cool because it's going to put everything that's in my head that we talk about a little bit here and there with a lot of different folks. And it's going to put it all in one place, and I can direct people there. And I don't care if I sell one copy of the book. I just want it out of my head and on paper, and then it's done. So a little bit about that. And then Lance, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah. And to kind of piggyback off, Adam's passion, if you know him like I know him, he's been building something in everyone around him, since the day I've met him, and guys, our single family business, we've now grown. We've got, both our wives are heavily involved. And really, if you look at where and what each one of our wives does, you can go back to traces of how Adam took like one little thing that they thought was cool about this flip or neat about this process, and challenge each of them, his own wife, my wife. Well, how creative could you be if you had time to focus on this, and really trying to just take that one thing, and even his own wife, she's now manages all of our flips, which is a very demanding job. We're putting, 6 figures into majority of our flips right now. And every day she's managing a crew of 6 to 7. If you told her 3 years ago she'd be doing this, she'd have told you, Adam's crazy. There's no way. And little did she know, Adam knew he needed a project manager, and he was gonna get her there in a way that she made it her idea a little bit, and she also does all of our design. Well, very hard to implement your design if we're not managing the project correctly. And so it just all kind of take shape. Same with my wife on the marketing side of business. It's very easy to, my wife's very task driven. She wants to check everything off the box. Okay, well, how can we work backwards from that and still but also give her the time to where she's creative and bringing some stuff to the table that separates us as a company, because we have a social media presence, which not a lot of wholesalers have these days, because it's kind of been a taboo thing in the marketplace up until recently, right? And so it's been really cool. And then out there just flailing in the wind while we're all defining Adam's passion, I'm like, I don't really know what I'm passionate about. Like, I like commission checks. Is it money? I like doing fun stuff. Is it snow skiing now and boating on the weekends? I mean, that's all fun, but that's not a passion, right? That's all, and so the cool thing about our journey is the multifamily evolution really helped me channel that. And you guys that are on this podcast, you guys are not a stranger to defining your why, right? And I really struggle with my why. And I'm going to say something that probably a lot of people disagree with here, but I always get frustrated when people say their family is their why. And it's not that that's not all our why. It's just that, hey, man, I like my family too, but it doesn't help me understand what gets you going, right? Like what. And so I really wanted something that dialed in past the kiddos, past the wife, like what really gets me going. And we had just got back from a single family mastermind in Oregon. And I had all 5 attempts at writing my why over the last 2 years in one place, which is very odd because I'm not that organized. But I looked at it, and every single one of these drafts that I got frustrated with and basically X'd out had the word impact. And I was like, okay, man, that's pretty cool. What if that's my why? And I was like, well, what could that mean, right? And so, well, then you start looking at multifamily, and my role in our multifamily division, if we had to really strap it down to one thing, is raising capital, making connections, managing the brokers, getting opportunities through relationships, right? And that unlocked me. That helped me through multifamily, through raising capital. I'm a connector, right? Like I've always been that way. Chris, if we were at my daughter's volleyball game and you told me your lawnmower broke down this morning, I would automatically stop listening to you. I would nod my head like I was listening, and I would be thinking about who I know that has 2 lawnmowers. That's just how I've been my whole life, right? And so to take that a step further, what does that mean? Does that mean I like just connecting people, being connected? No, I like being a positive impact. I like being the guy that because of Lance, you did X, right? So whether that's something in my community, whether that's something for my son's baseball team, whether that's helping a principal receive the largest check he'll ever get in his life because he invested in a syndicated multifamily opportunity. Like I want to impact the world, and it takes cash to do that, right? So I'm backing up into the money side of it, right? Like there's a level of success that obviously comes with financial windfalls, and I don't think you can do one without the other, right? I think you've got to have, you mentioned in your opening, what type of discretionary income. You've got to have the ability to impact the world. So how can I take what we've built here at Home Buying Guys, at Apartment Buying Guys, and impact the world? And I'll bring this all into a nice bow. Multifamily gave us that, right? Now, do we help sellers out every day in our single family business? Absolutely. I mean, I could write a book on the lives we've changed, the hoarders we've helped, the folks who inherited a home, but they can't sell it because their long lost deceased brother from 15 years ago had 2 kids that they didn't even know about, and we've got to track them down across the country. So this sweet 33-year-old woman can get out from underneath this house that's financially draining her. We've tracked her down. We've tracked those siblings down that she didn't even know existed. And so that's impactful. But then once we're done with that transaction, not too much we can do there outside of get a great review, and maybe she sends us a referral or 2. But in multifamily, we can impact lives. We can take people who have either struggled to find their first deal, give them that GP opportunity, or struggle to take their stewardship of finances and putting it into an investment that levels them up despite their income, like we get to do with principals and teachers, everyday folks. And so that's been the neatest part, is that all of this kind of has shaped us into this one reality where every day Adam and I, through the struggles of running 2 businesses, really get to utilize our passions, move the needle, and all the while make a great living for our family. The neatest thing I'll probably ever accomplish is being a part of Home Buying Guys. And that income alone in 2020 retired my wife from a job that paid her about $70,000 a year, but it kept her away from the family from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. She could not take a phone call. And you guys know what it's like being a mother and a family. You got to coordinate throughout the day. I gave her kids' childhood back by being able to run things up to the school when the teenager forgets it, or make this PTA meeting, or just take some time off. And so that's been really cool. And we've done all of that through a great partnership, which that's probably, instead of me just telling you about the partnership, if you guys have any questions about partnership, it's probably best that you guys just ask away. But it's a pretty special thing what Adam and I have. It's all built on communication, and I'll stop there so we have some extra time.
It's really great stuff. And I look, I mean, I know your story, but you don't know your story, and until you can hear things at different points in time, and you pick up little different inklings of what you might not have heard, another time, and hearing you guys talking about it, and it's the passion and the commitment that you come at it with, to be able to help people. And I think within both of you, maybe said differently, from my perspective, that's one of the key things that I know comes out of you guys. You want to help people, and someone said to me a quote once upon a time, and they just said, we're just people helping people helping people. And that quote really resonated with me, and I think that's a lot of what you guys do, both on the home buying guys side of things and the apartment buying guys side of things. So just big shout out to you for the work that you do on that. I do want to see if anyone has any questions there before we do move. I do want to make sure we have an opportunity for you guys to talk about the markets that you focus in as apartment buying guys, as in particular, because you guys are focusing on some really hot markets here. And I think the team here listening, I should say, certainly wants to hear that. And of course, the people that will watch the playback, they'll want to learn something about these markets as well. But before we transition, just want to see if anyone has any questions.
I do. I have questions.
Yes, go ahead.
So wow to you guys. Like you make me want to work for you and with you. I feel like you're talking to me. I feel like it's my story. Like I struggle with my why and then what's past my family, my children, like, something beyond myself, ourselves, my little circle. What else am I going to do? So it's people, it's building, it's growing, because everything else sounds like we're after shiny objects, we're after the money, but really no, we want the money comes first, and then we're going to create impact with it. So I really love to hear you. It's very refreshing to say, like, I struggle with my whys, because I'm there. And as I'm creating and going through my path and my journey, I'm like, I want the whole world, but I need to focus on something. Well, I want everybody, but then I have to, make it really specific. And what is it? Impact, people. This is about people, for people. So I love that. What do you say? And I'm recently starting my new path in capital raising. I am a connector. I nurture relations. I care about people. I'm a school teacher. I've been teaching for 20 years. And for me, it's, like building people, building character, helping them believe in themselves, grow. It's about growing. You grow, I grow. And I like to connect that. I like to connect with people and help them in every way I can, even if it's just to make you feel good today.
Right.
That's something, because it's true. You need a lot of money, but sometimes, it's more about the human factor, how you connect with people. And that's my biggest passion. I want to connect, and change the world. That's one of the things that's really stirring in my heart. But we need the money to do that. That's one way to do it as well. So what do you say to somebody in a new path of capital raising? I am in the moment of raising capital for deals that don't exist. Some of them are cooking, some of them are happening, some of them go back, they proceed, they don't proceed. The numbers look good on paper, but then in reality, what not so good, the sellers don't understand. Sometimes you have to educate the sellers too, because their numbers don't work, but we don't want to lowball or anything like that. But in the meantime, I'm nurturing my relations, and I have people that are willing and able to write checks, and they're saying, Heidi, I want to invest with you. And I'm like, oh, I need to make sure that I'm bringing the best deal ever, because this is their hard earned cash. How do I go about finding the best deal for them, because we all want to break through. And I've tried a couple of times raising capital, but I learned the hard way. I didn't know them. It was just out of desperation, and on both ends.
Mhm.
And how do I
I'll let
find my
Adam
team?
answer. I'll let Adam answer that first, because he'll be
Absolutely.
more succinct.
So first off, love to hear a little bit about you and your passion. That's awesome. Love it. Keep dialing it in. Keep dialing, because I think you almost got it nailed down. So keep dialing it in. And it's at the end of the day, the money is going to come and go, but the way we live is what's important. You want to live a happy life. That's what we all want deep down, right? We want our kids to be happy. We want our family to be happy. We want to enjoy life and live a happy life. The money is going to come and go. When you have a lot of it, it doesn't really change a lot of things. The only thing it changes is you're not worried about paying the bills. Maybe you're going on a couple extra vacations, but I can tell you that when you sort of change that mindset and you're looking at life in a way where your passion can help you live a happier, more fulfilling life, that's when greatness can be unlocked. And you're on the cusp of it. You're so close. And I would say the first thing you need to connect with guys like Chris and like Lance and I, who can find good deals and let you go to work raising the money. You don't have to know all the stuff. Focus on what you're good at and what you're passionate about. If it's capital raising, focus on that. That is a highly coveted skill and job. I
Oh,
don't
thank
want to
you.
do that. I don't. I get tapped out after making about 5 calls to capital raisers. So I tell Lance, I'm going to make 5 calls. I'm probably going to get all 5 of them to invest, and then I'm done. The rest of it's on you. So and that's my limit. But I enjoy doing a lot of the other things. That's his deal. That's what he focuses on, and I do all the other stuff to put a deal together and get it done. So um, you know, refine that, put your processes in place to grow your network. It's not a quick thing, it's a slow process. But at the same time, you need to connect with people that can put all the other pieces around you of a deal together. That way, you know a deal. When they say, "Hey, we got a deal," you know it's going to be a good deal. You're going to trust them. You're going to see the deal. You're going to go, "Okay, yep, they're right." And you don't have to spend a lot of time on that. You can just focus on raising money for the deal. And the good thing about multifamily is it's the pie is big enough for us to partner together. And that's one of the things that we knew that going in, but we didn't understand the extent of it. It's big enough where we can pull 5-10 people in together to fulfill different roles, be successful, and everybody does well because of that. We have not done a deal yet that didn't have multiple partners on it, and everybody does a little something different. Sometimes you got to vet them a little bit, and that's fine. But the pie is big enough, and what you'll find in the multifamily industry is there are so many like-minded people like us right here on this call in this group, that you'll be amazed at the quality of people that are here, because the guys that get in here that aren't genuine and aren't transparent and aren't going to work hard, they don't last very long, because it's not easy. It's not an easy business, and this is a lot of work, and there's a lot of risk, and there's a lot of things that you got to be prepared to handle, and you got to be tough. But if you're in it and you're passionate about something related to it, let's go, get it going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's
And
do it.
my advice there is, like Adam said, you're so close. You need to write down, once you
Thank
get the
you, thank you.
recording, you need to write down what you just said, because you said people and impact and building, and it's kind of a mixture of Adam and I's both, right?
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that stuck out to me was people in
Yeah.
your explanation, right? And so what I would do, if it sounds like you're into the multifamily stuff, you're looking for deals, the capital.
Yes.
Follow the people. And there's 2 types of people that are going to help you get to your goals. One side is brokers. The other side are deal finders, right? So Adam and I could represent a deal finder to you, right? We've got deal flow, right? You over time, whether you're raising for every one of our deals, you can still follow Adam and I along. We can still touch base quarterly, monthly, wherever we cross paths, right? And then, because here's the thing, just like your investors told you, I want to invest with you, right? Those were our first investors too. And right now, our brokers are saying the same thing. We want to give this deal to you, right? We make it fun to go look at properties. There's a human aspect. There's a reason we have like a cartoon behind me, right? We love that approachable feel. I'm a big Billions fan on Showtime. Axe Capital sounds super cool, but that doesn't, maybe one day we're ABG Capital because we just are a fund and it gets so big. I don't know that we have to communicate, this whole hedge fundy look, but we don't want to be hedge fund guys right now. We want to be the guys that, are going to show up, walk a property that we're going to understand. They're going to work with sellers, work with potential co-GPs, take times out of, while my son's up to bat at a high school baseball game, there's a good chance I'm on the phone talking to a co-GP about raising money for a deal we're closing. That's just every spring we're raising money, baby. And so, but find the people and don't worry so much about the deal. And that's where I was going with that. So, find the people. Now, if you have your own deal flow through a broker that brought you the deal, have the broker scope the deal for you. Hey, tell me why you want me to win this one, right? Then pick up the phone to Lance and Adam and be like, hey, I've got this deal. Here's what we're seeing. It's a market I believe in. It fits my buy box. What's your gut feeling? But you find the people in your path and then use the people in a way to help you get where you're going.
Guys, I love that. And my 2 cents really quickly on this is, I think to tie it all together, it is about the people. And it's about doing right by your investors, right? Your investors are number one, not you, but your investors. And when you put them first and you think and you approach each deal that you evaluate that you're going to be putting in their inbox or bringing them into, you want to make sure that you have their interest in mind as you're evaluating these things and deciding whether you do or do not want to pursue it and bring it back to your investors. So that's like for me the biggest thing. And so I would just say that that's really important. Guys, I do want to anyone else have any questions for Lance and Adam before we move to markets?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one thing.
Yes.
So you guys buy the properties in particular area?
We do.
Like in New York, East Coast, West Coast, or
Good
Yeah,
segue.
and
Yeah,
what is the
that's a
number of
perfect
the
segue.
units?
She sets you up.
She set me up. So I think, Rekha, let's go right into your question and have Lance and Adam talk about, these guys, they are based in Dallas, Texas, which is one of the top real estate markets in all of the land. And then they also focus in Oklahoma City, which is also another fantastic real estate market. Can you guys maybe talk a little bit about those markets? Why should people be focusing on those markets? What's the talk all about? People might hear this and that, but what do you say from boots on the ground perspective?
Yeah. So, well, first off, we grew up in Dallas, so we know this. This is our backyard. This is our home. We live here. We know the area very well, obviously. So we want to do deals close to home, especially our first group of those properties. We want them to be close so we can drive by them, we can go see them, touch and feel them, all that fun stuff. Yeah, it happens to be one of the hottest markets in town. It's also one of the most competitive markets in the country, which makes it a little tough to find deals. So you got to get creative and you got to find ways to be able to buy a property, not over the market price. And so that's something that we've had to learn and figure out how to get creative. So we focus on Dallas-Fort Worth. Obviously, there's a lot of rent growth here, a lot of people moving here. But more importantly, we focus on 2 fundamentals. And one of those is we're looking at properties that are working class properties. They're what they call B or C, usually a C plus property. And we want those properties to require some level of renovation or work to be brought up. So we want those are our 2 criteria. So we are very, very focused in those 2 criteria. And then there's 2 markets, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Oklahoma City, which I'll get to Oklahoma City in a second. That's it. We're very, very, very focused. And the reason we're so focused is, if we're looking at 10 different 10 different types of properties and 10 different markets, you're going to be looking at so many things and be scattered that it's going to be hard to know any particular market that well enough to get a deal and get a good deal. And so, and we happen to be in a market here that there are a lot of deals moving, and, so we have to be very, very focused so that once we see one that fits our criteria, we can bounce on that very quickly, do all the analysis and make a decision. And if we do decide to make an offer, we can get it in quick because they're not going to sit around if they're a good deal. So we are super, super focused because of that. That may not be the case for people that don't live in a big metropolitan area. I don't know, East Coast, it's very different. And I do not have experience up there at all, so I can't speak on it. But, here that we're super focused on that. And then our sort of sister market, which is Oklahoma City, is 3 hours away from us. We also have been going to that town, that metropolitan area for really 20 years. With our old W-2 jobs, and then we buy a lot of single family homes up there. So we also know that market very well. We know the real estate market extremely well. And it's sort of an under the radar market where there is a tremendous amount of growth on rents up there. There's a lot of transition into newer properties being built up there. There's a lot of transition in the neighborhoods. So we feel like there's a lot of opportunity up there, and there's a lot of B and C properties there that need a lot of work, which is exactly what we're looking for. So, so those are the 2 markets we are laser focused on. And not to say we won't expand at some point, but there's enough deal flow here that we can't even, it's hard to even look at other markets because there's just so many coming through here. Lance, what else? What else do you want to add to that?
She said East Coast, West Coast, and in my head, I just thought Middle Coast. We're the Middle Coast. So maybe
Where is that?
maybe we need to market that. We need to trademark that or something. Those are the markets we're in. The thing that's really exciting about Oklahoma City that not many people know. Everyone's heard of Dallas. Top 5 market. We're going to battle with Atlanta, Phoenix for that top 3 spot. Every year it seems like, but one of the 4th or 5th hottest markets that people talk about is Austin. Well, what people don't realize is Austin's Austin, right? Tesla moved in, Apple moved in. There's all these semiconductor companies moving in. What people don't realize is the same distance north that Austin is south is Oklahoma City, and so you're starting to see the jobs coming in that market. And so we really look at. Adam always talks about, man, if I just in 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, when I was making my first rental house purchases, if I just put all that into multifamily, or if I could just pay those prices again, right? Like everyone wants to go back in time and buy everything they could like 15 years ago. Oklahoma City, we get to do that, right? I mean, that it's almost like 20 years ago pricing in Oklahoma City. And what's really cool is since we've been under contract on our second deal, we'll close it this month. Oklahoma City just became the 20th largest city in America. Oklahoma is very tax favorable to businesses. So there's all little things. So we're really blessed to have Oklahoma City so close. But Dallas will be home. The surreal part for me is before the Metroplex grew to the size it was, when my folks and I were going to the highway, 635, we would pass the apartments that I now own. We would pass them every day. So I've been passing these apartments since I was, 5, 6 years old. And back then it was a part of town you didn't want to be in. So we passed through pretty quickly. But now it's being revitalized by the city and a lot of effort. So it's now, B- properties and I now own a little portion of Aldelia Road. So that's why. But Adam will tell you till he's blue in the face about laser focus, right? And so find your markets. Find markets you can touch, feel. Find markets that you can go find. That you can go see a property in a couple hours, or if you live remotely, get you boots on the ground, because if you can strike the right deal and get there quickly, our last deal we have under contract, the Reserve that Chris is a partner in, we got there within 2.5 hours of the first call, and it was off market. the guy said, we'll give you a chance because you own the one across the street. Can you be here next week or tomorrow? And I'm like, I can be there in 2 hours. Let me just get through this one meeting. And so yeah, laser focus. That's where we're at, Dallas and Oklahoma City.
So far, how many units, is there any target? Like you look for the units, the number of units?
It keeps changing. It started with above 60. When we started out like 3 years ago, it was 60 and up because we wanted to be able to support on-site management, right? We wanted the property to cash flow well enough to pay for a manager and a maintenance guy. Now that we are we've done 3 raises. Now we're like, man, we got to up this number because the 80 units is the same number as 200, is the same amount of work as 200 units. And so, all the work we've done for this 88 units in Oklahoma City, I have a feeling that's going to be the last double-digit deal we do, unless we're just paying for the thing cash. So.
Yeah.
And do you have a team of the, like construction manager, property manager? Do you have a team for that? Or do you use the same people again and again for all the units?
Yeah, well, and we outsource all of that. So no, I mean, we don't have that all dialed in yet. We're about to use our second property management company. We're going to use our second contractor. So we don't have all that dialed in yet. And Lance is right. As we keep going, we're going, man, we're doing the same amount of work on this 152 unit property as we did on the 88. And, the pricing difference is 3.8 million purchase price on the 88 unit versus 19 million on a 152. So the same amount of work, so once you've done one and you see that and you're going, okay, let me take a break. Let me take a breath. Okay, now let's go again. Yeah, let me push those numbers up. But you got to start somewhere. And so if you haven't done a deal yet, just figure out what you're comfortable with. But I can tell you that the break even is around 70 units to be able to support an on-site manager, and that's what you want. Because if you're over there managing the deal day in and day out, then what you're not doing is looking for the next property. You're not looking for the process that helps you do more or do the next one. So you need to at least try to find, a property that can support the on-site management. The maintenance is not as critical, but you got to have that maintenance. You got to have the management,
you have to track them. Yeah, exactly. Because I'm in the same field.
Yeah, hundreds better, but 70 would get it done. I thought I was going to say something else, but now I don't remember.
I've got a question for you, Adam.
Yeah.
And I actually just organically asked Adam this question yesterday. I was like, dude, is there any amount of time? Because we're always so busy putting out fires and doing stuff and coming together, and we talk about what's only important. But tomorrow we got a road trip, and I said, dude, tomorrow on the way to Houston, can we talk about what this means to us financially? I mean, we're grinding. I know how much we've got invested. I know what the returns are. I can sell it. I can sell the vision. I can sell the dream. But Adam, why don't we talk about, we've recently, just a side note, guys, we recently hired a fractional CFO for our businesses to help us make sure we're capturing profit first, or we're paying owners first. We're setting aside money for taxes, all that stuff that Adam was trying to manage on his own, right? And one of the first meetings the CFO had with us, he was like, how much do you need to make? What's your passive, or how much you need to make a month, right? Adam and I both had basically the same overhead in terms of what got us down the road and financially, but we both set a goal of $25,000 a month passively. Adam, why don't you talk about your timeline for passive income, how we're going to get there?
Yeah. So and what we're trying to do is basically create that passive income aside from the single family business. So, single family business now basically pays all of our bills, lifestyle, all that good stuff. And what we want to do is create another stream of income from the multifamily that basically replaces the single family income and allows us to pay all of our bills and lifestyle, so that, for me, it's all about the risk. If I can eliminate the risk of the single family business possibly declining or going away, or let's just say our leads dry up one day and they're not coming in, then I want everybody that's involved in our company to be okay and to be able to survive. So for us, that is what we're looking at doing. We want to buy enough multifamily properties that we are generating $25,000 in passive income every month for Lance's family, and the same for my family. And that's going to take us about 7 acquisitions. So the first 3 to 4, we're basically going to flip. We're going to buy them, rehab them. We're going to sell them within, 3 to 5 years. And then the next group that we put on the board are going to be properties that we're going to look at holding longer, and we're going to buy those with more of an eye towards cash flow than we are appreciation. Appreciation is great, but we want to see that benefit of cash flow coming in sooner than later. So there's some things that we're going to tweak in our capital structure going forward. An example of that is, and if this is too detailed, strike it out. But we may look at not offering a pref to limited partners going forward. And that basically allows the GP team to participate in the cash flow sooner. So little things like that, it's hard to do those when it's your first or second deal. But when you've got a track record, when you've got experience, you've full cycled some deals, then you're able to sort of set the table a little more favorably in the GP's favor when you're looking at, structuring the deal. And this is what I was going to say earlier. At the end of the day, if you're in multifamily, you don't necessarily have to provide 40% returns to investors. That's not, you don't need to do that. What you need to do is beat the stock market, because if you can beat the stock market, you're not only providing the best opportunity for probably everybody that comes into a deal for you, you're providing probably the best returns of any other investment they've ever seen, aside from maybe a house they bought that they live in or a rental property. But that doesn't even include the tax benefits that they will see that they don't get with stocks or mutual funds or 401ks. So it doesn't have to be a super home run. And that's why we put out, we're looking to put out deals that are above 15% annual return. Everything we've put out so far has been between 18 and 20. Our Oklahoma deal, we're going to kill it. It's probably going to be a lot higher than that, but 18 to 20 is great. That's a great return. That doubles somebody's money in 5 years, worst case scenario. And there's a good chance it doubles it in 3. And that is significant. So you don't have to shoot for the moon and do really, really well in this industry. And most big operators, they're not even putting out 18 to 20. I mean, we see a lot of big folks, putting out 15, 16, 17%. And they get a nice cut if anything goes above and beyond that. So that's the thing to keep in mind. It doesn't take a lot to really make a big impact for the people and the network that And again, all we have to do is beat the stock market, and it's not that hard. What else? Now I'm fired up.
I know. I get fired up on these meetings, and I'm supposed to go to sleep, and then I sleep, and then it's not good.
No, you're good. I mean, you hit it, man. Like when I think about this group that we have here, majority passive investors that join our meetup here, and then many times we have some other people active doing what we're doing as well, or doing both. Like you guys are, and whenever I meet with passive investors, the number one thing that I tell them about is that I enjoy about this business is the passive income. I've gone through that process, that painstaking process of having to get pre-approved for a loan to buy a single family home. And, I always jokingly say, I'm giving, all of my documents and all my financials and then my children's blood and my blood just to qualify for a loan. And then, going through that whole process was just exhausting after months and months and months. Whereas now, as a passive investor in these multifamily deals, I have a chance to network and connect with solid operators who know the markets in and out, and they have an opportunity. They have a great deal that can beat the returns that I was doing on my little single family, and then I can do that completely hands off. that is a beautiful thing, and I can get all the same benefits that they're getting, for the work that they're investing in it. So from a passive perspective, that it's just such a powerful thing, and it allows me, to focus on other things that I want to do. You guys talked about, whether it's spending time with your family, coaching my kids, basketball team or baseball team, those things mean a lot. And spending time, managing single family rentals for me was not necessarily the most fun thing. And so I'm happy to be out of that and into this space and doing the multifamily thing. I know we're getting close on time. I do want to see if there's any other questions or tips that you guys want to hit on before we close out. And I ask you just a few questions before we wrap things up.
Oh,
All right. Any questions or before for Lance and Adam before we wrap up and then turn it over to them? If you guys want to just offer a few parting messages, and then I'll see. Actually, before we go to the parting messages, I'll ask you a couple of questions, and then you can wrap things up, and we'll close it out from there. Does that sound fair?
yep.
All right. So, all right. Well, here's some questions that I ask all of our guest speakers that come on to this virtual meetup. So I'd like to put people in the hot seat a little bit, and
Oh, it's getting hot in here.
I want to get a little hot and toasty, but then I like to make it a little fun too, and it just is a great way for people to connect, with you guys on a deeper level. So first question that I like to ask you both is, what does financial freedom mean to you?
Go, Adam.
Yeah, it means being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it without any restrictions there. That's what it means to me.
Yep. Yeah, I think, Adam and I have a goal of working the month of January from a ski mountain. And so when someone says financial freedom, I think about that. I mean, I can't imagine this. Maybe it'll be a time we're not talking about a deal. Maybe we're just talking about assets under management. But I imagine that's what I think of. And we take our families on a ski trip every year. But that's a time of the year it's hard to make it rain in January. I mean, if you're not raising for a deal, I mean, it's just like, just let the world come to us. Let's go skiing for a month, but yeah, everything he said plus that.
Right. And then one of you guys talked about skiing, so maybe this might factor in there. But one of the things that I love to do with my family is I love to travel with my family. My wife and I, we are definitely sun and sand people. But then and then with our kids, as they've gotten older, we certainly have spread that love to the beaches and travel and all those things with them. But I'm interested in what you guys are interested in from a travel perspective. What is one of the best trips that you've ever taken, and why was that?
Yeah, so I have two. I have one, like Lance mentioned, we go to a place in Montana that we all love. It's called Whitefish, Montana. We love it. We'll probably eventually buy a house up there at some point. My kids get a little bit older, and we'll probably buy one together with Lance and his family, because it's not the same if we don't go together. So we got another friend up there, but we just love it. Love the town. We love the atmosphere. We love the skiing. It's great for kids, and we just love being out in the mountains. That's what I'm passionate about when I'm traveling. I love the mountains. My wife, on the other hand, loves the beach, and so we do a little bit of both. The other one for me, which is a little bit strange, is my wife and I went on a trip before we had our first kid to Ireland. And as we're driving through Southern Ireland, I felt a weird feeling, and I don't know what it was, but I felt like I was home. It was really strange. And obviously I've got heritage there and had relatives from there. And we actually went and found one of my relatives that was up in the ancestral chain of my father, and met them. And just a really, really cool trip that I want to be able to take my kids back to and do that same trip when they get a little bit older. They're still a little young, 7 and 3. So they claim they can only do a 4-hour car ride, and we were in the car for 5 days straight. So they're not quite there yet, but when they get a little bit older, we're going.
Yeah, of course, there's a ton of overlap with me and Adam, and you know, there's no doubt about it. Adam is my CEO, right? So if I'm on vacation and he's not, it sucks because I feel like I owe the boss man some work. You know, I mean, we got to raise some money, we got to put deals on the board, you know, and so I like to travel with Adam because I know he's not working, or we can cross paths together in the mornings before the families get up, you know. But I'm actually about to do a trip. This is the first time I've ever done this. We went to a mastermind in Crested Butte, Colorado, with some brokers this year, and one of the guys mentioned a surf town called Sayurita, Mexico. And I haven't done that whole adventure travel yet, right? So my wife and we got married when I was 21. She was 20. Happily married. We you know, got the kids a couple of years after that. So it's just been, we didn't have the backpacking through Ireland like Adam had, right? So we're just now hitting that life season. So this is the first time I don't know how to surf, but on day one, we're going to learn how to surf. Supposedly Sayurita, Mexico is where a lot of Australians actually vacation that are big into the whole surfing. It's this hippie town just an hour north of Vallarta. And so that's what I'm excited about is booking those trips. It's the first one my wife and I will go on, just us two, since our honeymoon in 2005. So that'll be cool. You know, it's been really cool to just show the kids the world, not the world, but the country. We haven't done a lot of global travel. But then again, too, I've got 16-year-old and 13-year-old. And if you want to be disappointed, pay for them to go somewhere, because they will roll their eyes and they will look at their phones, and they're the sweetest babies in the world, but it's just that age group, man. And so I'm like, that last ski trip, I told my wife, I was like, let's just me and you go somewhere next. So came back, and Adam and I are grinding. We've got 2 raises going right now. We've got a lot of changes, scaling up our single family business, made some personal changes. We're just trying to create new habits. We're trying to be the people that we need to be so we can hit our numbers, right? So we can hit our goals. Like the guy that Lance was a year ago can't have 500 units, right? So I've had to level up. We're all putting ourselves every day out of that comfort zone. And so even though the last thing I needed to do about a month ago was book this little trip to Mexico, I told my wife, I was like, I need something. I need and I got the insurance. If I don't hit the goals, we'll cancel the trip. But I think we're going to hit the goals, and we're going to go on that trip, and I'm going to learn to surf. And the funny thing, this is how close Adam and I's families are. Adam's wife and I are both very heavy Instagram users. So we have like a rolling list of restaurants to try, places to travel. And so before I book this trip, I'm like, hey, Denise, I found this little deal. She's like, we're not there yet. Go learn the town and we'll join y'all next time. You know, so that's something I'm really excited about. It's going to be an adventure. It's going to be wake up, get a workout in, go, you know, hiking, go, you know, not just chilling. I've done a lot of chilling. Now it's time to be adventurous and see what this 6'4", 240-pound frame is capable of.
Right. That's exciting, man. Those trips sound really, you know, great, powerful. I'm sure that surfing is going to be an awesome experience for you, and someone has to get that on videos. And
I know. Hey, I've been working on my burpees because I mean, that's basically how surfing is, right? You got to just pop up, you know. So I've been getting my burpees in, and yeah, we got to get that on video. It's not going to be pretty, but I bet I do it.
America's funniest home videos. Here you come. Go. I think that's what I see happening. Go ahead.
If you ever saw the video of Lance dancing several years ago, then you're exactly right. We probably need to we'll get that film one way or another.
Well, we're gonna have they're gonna have to see it on film because my drinking days are behind me, and that's the only reason I was dancing like that. So, yeah. Well, but hey, I will end this on one thing, and I think this is really cool for this is if Adam and I had one message to folks that are in this space, you know, is don't think you have to do it all on your own, you know, and I mean that like, because all these masterminds we can join, whether you're looking to get into land acquisition, multifamily, all the masterminds we sell out there, they take payment from one person and they'll educate you from A to Z. And so we all have that natural pressure okay, I've got to underwrite the deal. I've got to find the deal. I've got to get the rent rolls I got to do all of it. But that's not the case. And Adam and I have been blessed with a natural partnership to where, I stared at that Michael Blanc program. I start spinning, and Adam calls me. He's like, dude, don't you look at that. Just figure out who we're getting the money from. I'll do the underwriting. I'm like, oh, okay, good. Thank you. We brought multiple people into our deals that when we met them at Dealmaker Live, they're like, man, I've got investors, but I just can't find the deal. And I had this one and it fell through. I had this one and it fell through. I'm like, why are you looking for a deal? I've got the deal. Let's show the people my deal and let it be your deal. This is your deal. I'm just bringing it to you. And that was a light bulb for a lot of people. And so, connect with people, help you get where you're going. Who, not how is a big thing that we talk about probably once an hour in our organization. Not how do we get there, who helps us get there. Sometimes it's finding a guy that has a lot of deal flow. Sometimes it's finding a guy, even though we're good at capital raising, we could probably get 1,500 units, 1,000 more units by this time next year if we can find a way to supplement that raise. And so we're even looking at that. We're great capital raisers, but I can only raise 2 to 3 million at a time. That's a huge thing for somebody else. To me, it limits me. I'd be at 1,500 units in 12 months if I didn't have to worry about raising $25 million, right? So who, not how, and don't think you have to do it all on your own. That doesn't take away from any of the passive income. The passive income doesn't have an asterisk. Well, did you do this all on your own? Nope. It just hits the bank account the same. So don't overwork trying to do it all yourself, especially if it's out of your skill set and out of your comfort zone. Find someone to get you there. Who, not how.
Yeah, and there's a book. That's a book called Who, Not How. I recommend everybody getting that. And I second that real quick. If you're passionate about X, find people to do A, B, C, and D, and Y, and then go, because that's how you level up and grow really, really quickly in this space. Is that. And that's if that's the one gift we can give y'all is figure out how you can put a team together so that you can focus on what you're good at and what you're passionate at, and let everybody else fill in the other gaps. And if you can master that, you will be successful in a lot of different things. And that's what we're providing here.
Great.
Did you say who? Did you say who, not how?
Who,
yes.
Not how. Correct.
Yes, I'll drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
It's a great book. Last two questions, guys.
Cool.
Rapid fire. What are you guys talked about deals? What are you working on these days? You talked a little bit about Oklahoma City, talked about the Reserve in Dallas that we're partnering on. Talk a little bit about these deals, and if people want to learn more, how can they reach out to you and get in contact with you on that?
You
That's
took my question, Chris.
No.
You took my question, yes.
Oh, there you go.
I was about to ask that.
Okay, so
I got
if you go to apartmentbuyingguys.com, fill out your information, you'll sign up for our portal, and you'll have access to look at both of our deals. We are raising for 88 units, Oklahoma City, 20% returns. That's a 506C. If you're accredited, we'd love to have it. We have about 5 spots left in that deal. The other one we're raising for, and this is we're partners with Chris on this deal, is the Reserve at Lake Highlands. It is 152 units. It is a 506B. So we have 7 non-accredited spots left as of this morning. Also showing 18% returns, a 7% pref, and we have about $4 million to go on that raise. So we are actively raising there, but you can find both of our deals and info about everything we do on apartmentbuyingguys.com.
Excellent. And then the last question. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. What is the exit time?
3 to 5 years on both.
3 to 5. It doesn't matter what the interest rates are right now. The way it is going. Okay.
Yeah, we can talk offline about that, but yeah, they're for example, on the Dallas deal, we're buying an interest rate cap, so that limits your risk on the interest rates going up, and it's not cheap, but that's a good way to minimize that risk. So we can talk more offline about that.
Yes, please do reach out to, offline for any specific deal information. I encourage you to do that. I know the guys dropped their information in the chat, but also go onto their website, register for the portal, schedule time with them. They'll be happy to take you through the details of the deal. Last question of the night from me, guys. And then it's simply one that I like to ask all of our guest speakers, and if that is, what does having a wealth mindset mean to you?
Let me answer that one, Adam. And what's really, you talk about Adam's passion being building. I'm probably his greatest success. His daughters aren't old enough to accomplish what they will one day, so they will pass me up by a long shot. But when Adam met me, I was living in a 3rd floor apartment. I was happily married, didn't have a dime to my name, and 2 babies. 10 years later, you fast forward 10 years later, 38 years old, now owned my own 127 unit apartment complex. Adam can show up and walk through my custom home and go, who the hell is this guy? And we built each other up. Adam would give me a lot of credit. It wasn't like he just dragged me along. I had to pick up the slack and perform myself, but he changed me from the inside out. For the first time ever, I started thinking against that W-2 lifestyle. Even before we were working for ourselves and in these businesses, it was decisions like, very early on, getting on an envelope system, looking at financial freedom from a zero-based budget. Once I mastered that, it was, what does it look like to get my first rental property? Once I mastered that, it was taking an opportunity in my W-2 life to go commission only, and what that risk and reward would offset, and teaching and being able to see what it's like to grow my income by 3x in 1 year, just by taking on the risk of not having a base salary, right? And then from there, we were business partners, and now it's multifamily, and it's putting that money up front. We took massive action towards our goal of being multifamily owners and operators when we took on a $5 million raise before we'd ever raised $1 from anyone besides ourselves. And when you did that, we had to put 1% interest down within 72 hours of the PSA being signed. People thought we were crazy. Then we closed on the property and they wanted to know more, right? But that mindset it's high risk, high reward. It's calculated risk, but it's also never far from the people side of the business. We've had to, in this business, become partners with folks very quickly. To close our first deal, we had 45 days left, $4 million to go, and had to take on partners that we would go into business with over the entire hold of the asset. Now, through both of us having gut feelings and trust in each other's skill set, but also ability to read people, we were getting off the call going, that's our guy. Let's get him in town tomorrow. Or it was, man, I just don't feel it. That guy kind of seemed weird to me, man. What was that question about? But that's that mindset you have. It starts there. And the last thing I'll leave you with my side is, and Michael Blanc does a good job of this, and I live it out every day. I'm blessed to have a spouse that supports everything I do. And even when it's not easy, and there's times I'm complaining to her about, maybe it's the cash flow side of being an entrepreneur, right? We still have months where we're funding our business accounts. We're not pulling from, and I have a spouse that I'm like, hey, honey, I need you to transfer X over to Z. She's like, really? Okay, cool. I'll get frustrated with it because we want to be at different points financially. And she's like, hey, this is another chapter in the book. This just makes the story even better. Go get it. What do you need from me today? And Adam and I aren't here without that support from each other, but we're damn sure not here without the support of our spouses. And so that's, I don't know if that answers your question. It probably does, like 6 different ways, but
it definitely does. Adam, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, and mine will be a little shorter than that, but that mindset it's internal, right? I mean, the wealth mindset, the happiness mindset, it's all internal. And so for me, as a leader of this company, I had to realize that internally I have to get better. I have to continue to grow. I have to stay ahead of this group and this company and the people that are in it. And I've got to continue to level up. I've got to continue to grow my ability to lead and do more and do better, and find ways to be around the people that I want to be like. And so, for me, that wealth mindset is that it's continuing to grow. It's continuing to level up and figure out ways to keep climbing the ladder. And a lot of that, and it's tough for me. It's tough to sort of be out there and network with people that I'm not in circles with today, but I know that's what will take me to that next level of wealth. And so I've had to do that. And it's how you bring others with you by leveling up and shifting that mindset as you go. And it's hard. It's not easy. The easy way is to not do that. That's the
Right.
easy way. We both over the last few years completely quit drinking 100%, and it's tough. When you're around friends that do it and that's kind of what you grew up with, it's really tough. But it's something that we both knew for us to continue to grow and lead and be the men we want to be and the leaders we want to be. It was something we had to do personally. And, that's something that, if you're in that same position one day, or maybe you're not quite where you want to be, then, I would say, look at that internal mindset and see what you can do to take a little baby step up, because that's all it takes. It takes one little baby step up, and then you'll figure out a way to take another little baby step up. And that's how you compound. It doesn't take big, giant leaps every day. It just takes a couple leaps every so often. And that's how you get to where you want to go. I see
Powerful stuff. I'll get to the question in a moment, but that's powerful stuff. And I just want to close by asking you guys to one more time give a shout out to how people can get in touch with you if they want to learn more about home buying guys, more about apartment buying guys, the deals that you got going on. What should they do?
Apartmentbuyingguys.com. Find us Facebook, Instagram, text me, email me, call me, smoke signal. We'll find you, especially if we think y'all have some money for us. We'll find you. No, I'm kidding.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to close out here, and then we'll carry on the rest for anyone who wants to stay back for the virtual chat or networking opportunity. So thank you guys very much for your time. Great stuff, and we'll have a great rest of the evening, and have a great weekend, everyone, as we step into the weekend and the next day.